What's going on, everybody? I want to welcome y'all to the Run Game Podcast. I got my guy, Boston Scott, New Orleans native, you know what I mean? And, he's a La Tech graduate, got picked up by the Saints there 15 weeks, you know what I mean, on practice squad. Then we transitioned over to the Eagles. And then obviously they call him the Giant Killer. So, first and foremost, man, thank you for joining the show, man. I really, really appreciate you. I've actually worked with you. We kind of built some of a relationship, man. And just want to say I appreciate you, man, and just your love for the position. And also how you teach the younger guys on how to do the things correctly. First I would just want to step out and just say, man, thank you, man. Thank you for being here.
I appreciate you, dog. Hey, you've been helping me out a lot, man, and I've been comfortable with what you've been teaching, and I think it's like we just talked about, man. It's necessary for our position.
Yep.
Things that you teach, the technicality part of it. I feel like whenever you put the time and effort into the mechanics part of it, which is what's going to sustain you throughout a long season.
Mm-hmm.
That's really important. I feel like you've been doing a great job of that. So the feeling's mutual, bro.
Absolutely, man. I appreciate that. And like I said, just a lot of my philosophy, man. I just want to make it as realistic as possible, man. Because you got a lot of guys out here that just do unrealistic stuff. And if you can't really speak the language within within the training, like, hey, man, it's A gap, B gap. This is a 3 tech coming. He's shading over. He's crossing the center's face. You know what I mean? So we have a lot of talks like that. So it's running back lingo. But enough about me, man. I want to get into you, man. So I just want to just give us a little bit about your childhood, man. Just growing up in football, like when you first started, then transition to high school, and just give us a little bit about your recruiting process going to college.
Yeah, man. So honestly, I grew up, like you said, in Louisiana, Baton Rouge in particular. I do have people in New Orleans, but I grew up in Baton Rouge for the majority of my life. I actually didn't get into contact sports until middle school. We moved a good bit whenever I was young. We moved probably 3 times over the course of 5 years. So we went from Baton Rouge to Baker, Louisiana. My parents ended up splitting up, but went from Baton Rouge to Baker to Shreveport, Bossier City for a couple of years, and then ended up in Zachary. But I didn't get into contact sports until middle school. I actually started off on the offensive defensive line. That's why I kind of got an appreciation for them boys in the trenches because they definitely don't get the credit that they should get. But yeah, man, I made the transition to running back actually my freshman year in high school.
Nice.
And so I was still learning a lot. I can still remember to this day, man. I moved to Zachary my 9th grade year. You know what I'm saying? Like, I had a dingy white T-shirt on, some black shorts, and some cleats that I'm pretty sure I stole. Hey, just being real with you, got to keep it transparent.
I hear you.
And I remember my coach asked me, son, what position you play? And I was like, I'm a running back, coach. I'm a running back. So my older brother played running back / receiver. My dad played running back in college. He went to Lamar University in Beaumont, Texas. So I wanted to carry on the tradition. So it was kind of a learning curve, man. Like I knew I kind of had a natural knack for it. I picked things up pretty quick, but I continued to learn the position. I continued to learn how to play. Went through high school, had a pretty good, I had to work my way up through the depth chart. We had some pretty good backs in place that were supposed to go on to college and make it. But I didn't really start getting meaningful reps until my junior year when guys started going. Well, I would say my sophomore year, and then those 2 guys actually went down in the same year, and that's when I started getting like my first starts and everything like that. So I was able to put together a pretty good season in my junior year, and in my senior year, I got the reins to the backfield, and I actually ended up splitting time with a guy named Forrest Town. He went on to Dartmouth University to also play running back, but. Yeah, man. I mean, pretty productive, pretty successful. Had all Metro honors. I wasn't an All-State guy. We had a lot of guys coming out that year, but I think I was All-State honorable mention. But anyway, yeah, man. So didn't have any offers coming out of high school, so I just decided to go. I did have a partial offer, an AIA offer.
Gotcha.
Tabor College in Kansas. You know what I'm saying? Hey, tops don't cover that, bro. We ain't have it like that. So I'm not going out into Kansas. But they got tornadoes and stuff. Nah, no thank you.
I feel you on this.
So I ended up walking on at Louisiana Tech. Got there. I was about 180 pounds. Well, really 170. And started off pretty quick, started off pretty good. I picked up things pretty quickly, but ended up going through some injuries, ended up having to deal with some stuff on my body, had a neurological issue that I had to sort through for about a year.
Nice.
And that kind of took me out of the game for a little bit. Obviously, I had to retry out for the team, being a walk on. And again, we had a guy there by the name of Kenneth Dixon. He was the main guy. He was the main guy, and they also had a guy that they had recruited named Jared Kraft out of Houghton, Louisiana. So it was an uphill battle.
Right.
Uphill battle. I had to fight through the depth chart once again. Didn't really start getting meaningful reps until my redshirt sophomore year, which is when I earned my scholarship and went to the New Orleans Bowl. That was my first time playing in the Superdome because I never got a chance
Nice.
to in the state championship. But yeah, that was one of my most productive games, probably one of my best college games. I honestly didn't even get that many carries, but my yards per carry was crazy.
Yeah.
But yeah, for sure. So, I was just working on those little things during that time, man. I had to work through some things mentally, obviously, with the injury that I went through, took me out of football and school for a year.
Wow.
I was faced with a lot of different trials and tribulations where I didn't know how I was going to pay for college. I almost dropped out. You know what I'm saying? I can remember I was walking to the athletic building to say like, hey, I'm not going to be able to go on
Yeah.
in college anymore. I got to drop out and work,
Yeah.
because I don't have the money for it. And I ended up getting a scholarship for that bowl game. I ended up having a pretty good year.
Nice.
So ended up working out, man. And yeah, I put together a little something my junior, senior year. I ended up, having a pretty productive season my senior year, over 1,000 yards rushing, was able to catch the ball in the backfield, did some special teams returning. But yeah, I was able to kind of, carve out a role for myself, and ended up out of my class coming out, I was the only one to actually get drafted. Everybody else kind of got,
Wow.
tryouts and everything like that. So, God wins,
Yes, he
bro.
does.
Stayed locked in.
Yes, he does.
Faith was a huge part of it. I know without him, I wouldn't have been able to make it through some of the things that I went through.
Absolutely.
But it's a blessing, and here we are, 7 years later, man.
Oh
So,
man. See, and that's the stuff that we don't hear about. You know what I mean? Like just the whole
mhm.
that you thought you was gonna have to give up football. Like a lot of these guys, they go through the ranks where they get recruited, then you on scholarship.
Yeah,
You know what I mean? Because you get that luxury,
yep,
right? But nobody understands the walk on process. And I think just kind of speaking on it, right? Like I think JUCO and I think NAIAs and D2s and D3s may be the new wave for running backs. Like that may be the first
exactly.
option because like I said, with the transfer portal with running backs, man, obviously it's only one running back on the field because everybody's running
hmm
10 personnel typically, right?
Yep.
So it's like, am I going to take a high school kid or am I going to take a college guy who's already been there? I'm gonna go ahead with the
Right.
college guy. You know what I mean? So there's a
Yep.
certain mentality that I know you can kind of speak on as far as like the mentality that you need when you're a walk on, because I feel like a
hmm
lot of these running backs are going to face that. You know what I mean? A lot of these guys are going to be walk ons. So what were some of the things that the mentality that you need that you had? Being a walk on, not getting the proper reps, knowing that you was probably better than some of these guys. Like what were those days? What did those days look like?
Yeah, man. Like a lot of bitterness, a lot of anger,
Yeah.
and thank God that he kind of gave me the tools to channel it in the right way.
Hmm.
You know what I'm saying? I took it out on, the starters.
Yeah,
You know what I'm
straight up.
saying? When I was on the scout team, like I said, I had to work my way up. So anytime I was getting a scout team rep, I had to let them know, like, I'm gonna make you look stupid.
Yeah,
Any chance that I get.
yeah,
And that's kind of always been my MO, having that chip on my shoulder. And that's kind of always been, my mentality and mindset going into the league. And little did I know it was really preparing me,
yeah,
not to get to the league, but to stay in the
yeah,
league and put a career together. Because each year, there's been anxiety and stress about, dang, like, every time, it didn't matter how productive I was in a year, what I'm saying, like that next year, I'm thinking to myself, you got to find a balance, obviously,
yeah,
but it's like I'm thinking to myself, okay, they're gonna try and replace me, like they're gonna try and find somebody else, you
yeah,
know what I mean? Like there's not a whole, what I'm saying? Like it
yeah,
was always kind of that understanding, and that's just from being a walk on. I knew I had to change my body. I was 170
straight up.
pounds coming in as a freshman, so I knew, obviously I ain't have much more growing to do, but
Hey, bro, it's
how
love.
what yeah, it is what it is.
Yeah,
But what can I do? How can I control? Or what can I do within my control to separate myself? And so I had to attack the weight room.
right.
You know what I mean? I had to. find out what my skills were. You know, I had an explosive first step, my burst, my accelerations. You know what I'm saying? I wanted to work on my top end speed. So I got in the weight room and I took it seriously, man. So I got up to, on squat, I got up to 625. On bench, I got up to 425. Power clean, I got up to 375. You know, my coach stopped me there, but 365, he stopped me there. But, you know, those are things that I could control. And then my habits, you know, how I took care of my body, you know, and I had guys along the way that kind of helped me, you know, mold myself in that way where I have those habits in place. You know, Xavier Woods was who plays, he's a safety for the Carolina Panthers right now. But, you know, one of the things that I kind of learned from him was, you know, you want to practice those pro habits early so that whenever you get to the pros, you know, it's just second nature. You know what I mean? It's not something that you have to figure out. Oh, this is how you take care of your body. Oh, this is how you know, listen to your body, you know, because your body's going to talk to you. So those are all things that I feel like. And then the mental part of it too. You know, I took pride in learning as quickly as I could and learning as much as I could, you know, and enjoying that too. I loved watching film. I loved, you know, asking questions about what a defense is doing here, what a defense is doing there, you know, and always trying to find that edge because I knew, you know, genetics aren't necessarily on my side. You know what I mean? Like God bless me with plenty, but you know, obviously the prototypical running back, you know, I didn't fit that bill. So I had to find other ways to gain an edge, you know? And so I think that's really important. It's all about knowing your strengths. You know, obviously you want to be as well-rounded as you can be, but know your strengths and make those strengths exceptional.
Right.
You know, and I feel like once I honed in on that, you know, that set me up, you know, because I wasn't invited to the combine. I didn't go to any senior bowls. All I had was my pro day. You know, so I had to make sure that whenever I hit that pro day, all the skills that I refined and worked up to that point, the things that I was exceptional at, I had to make sure that they saw that. And I felt like I did a pretty good job with that. Obviously, my strength coach, Kurt Hester, who's at the University of Houston now, he did a great job preparing me, getting me ready. But yeah, I mean, I took that very seriously, man. I took that very seriously. And I really feel like that intangible part of it, you know, has kept me in the league for as long as I've been in the league. So
and I really appreciate that because obviously I'm an undersized running back too. I'm 5'6". Me and you standing face to face. You know what I'm saying? When I'm
yes, sir.
So a lot of things that you're speaking on, man, is just like I see it. You know what I mean? It's like it's my mindset. You're just kind of repeating how my mindset was at the time because, like I said, like when I went in, I was like sixth on the depth chart, right? And it was dudes that was before me who wasn't even on campus because they had other recruits. My boy Romano Rose, that's my boy Salute. And I was like, how's this dude in front of me and he not even here yet because he got to campus late? But I told myself, I was like, bro, I ain't red shirt. Like I don't know what a red shirt is. All I know is football. That's all I did. And I remember like I was on scout team for like 3 days, and I said, you know what, I'm gonna make everybody pay. You know what I mean? And I remember the GA that we had at the time, he was like, man, you ain't gonna be here long after the second day. And it was just more so just that just being undersized, man, and just really fighting for everything that you get. It's like, man, I don't see size. Like, you know, even though I was the smallest man on the field, I felt like I was the most feared. You know what I mean?
Right.
Like I say, everybody's heart was bigger than mine. Now, you know, being undersized in college and being undersized in high school is a whole complete different ball game. But you was undersized in the NFL. You know what I'm saying? Like where everybody's like on average 6'3" and better. You know what I mean? So, you know, what were some of those days like, you know, just being in the NFL, you know, just battling that, you know what I mean? Like, hey man, because you know politics involved. Obviously they got you know what I'm saying? And then you have the prototypes, the other running backs that you had in the room with you. So like how was that? What was that journey like, you know, just being undersized running back? You knew you compete, but you knew people were going to look at your size and not, you know, really want to give you that chance. So talk to us about that.
Yeah, you know, I kind of think about the phrase like pub is pub. You know what I'm saying? Like it ain't necessarily always got to be positive publicity, but you know, if you get an attention, you can do something with it. You know what I mean? So just like, you know, me being an undersized guy, that still meant that people had their eyes on me. They were looking at me. They were evaluating. And so whenever those eyes were on me, you know, I was making sure that I showed them, hey, I got a quicker first step than anybody. You know, you know what I'm saying? I'm more explosive than all the guys in this room. You know what I'm saying? And that's just how I carried myself. Now, the room that I was in New Orleans was actually pretty crazy. It was
Yes, it
Mark
was.
Ingram, me, it was Alvin Kamara. You know what I'm saying? Like we had Mike Gillislee in there at one point. We had Adrian Peterson in there at one point. We had Terrence West in there at one point.
Yep.
Like a bunch of just dogs
Yeah.
that have been solidified. The guys that, you know what I'm saying? So I learned a lot from them,
Mm-hmm.
but at the same time too, I'm like, hey, look, yeah, I'm really like that too.
Yeah.
You know, and I tried to make sure that I was showing that as much as possible. So in a sense, like, and I can relate to what you're saying. Like, I didn't really look at it that way.
Yeah.
Whereas, like, yeah, I had that chip on my shoulder, but it's like, yeah, every time I step foot on that field, I'm like, yeah, okay,
Yeah.
yeah, y'all know what's, you know, I was going against AJ Klein and Demario
Yeah.
Davis every day. You know what I'm saying? Like, yeah, y'all gonna feel me. You
Yeah.
know what I'm saying? You gonna think twice when I'm coming out of that backfield or when I got the ball in my hands because you know, it's all about your perception of things, man. Like
Yeah.
as you get to the league, you a lot of people, I would say, particularly front office guys, they look at being undersized, you know, and even in the draft process, the combine process, being undersized can be a knock on you. But you know, if you have an understanding of the run game, if you have an understanding of
Mm-hmm.
what the purpose and the intent of the play, you can actually use your size to your advantage because it is hard to see guys like us behind the
Absolutely.
line of
That's the
scrimmage.
advantage.
You get what I'm saying? And then put on top of that an understanding of the run scheme. And then on top of that, they're explosive,
Yep.
they're quick.
Yep.
You know what I'm saying? They understand two gappers, they understand penetration stuff. You know what I'm saying? So you can end up gashing,
Mm-hmm.
you know what I'm saying? Like just based on your stature.
Yep.
You know what I'm saying? So I feel like it's all about perception. But you know, I understood that a little bit later on in my career.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, every day I was just focused on, you know, the I was focused on staying present and just doing what I
Right.
could to continue to improve my body, understand my strengths, and refine those things.
Yeah,
So
man. Absolutely, man.
yeah,
And you hit it right on the head, man. And I think for me, when I first got to college, I became a film junkie like you, right? Like I stayed in the film room because,
yeah,
you know, in high school, you just have the film from the side. But when I went to college, I'm like, oh, they got the back view?
you
What?
get that end zone, yes sir.
What?
It
You
changes
know
up
what I'm saying?
everything.
Hey, that was it. That was it for me. And I
It
lived in
changes
the,
up
in the in the
everything.
film room. And obviously, you know, that's what I think the running back academy is built off film. A lot of my
Hmm.
drills that I create is based off film. You know what I'm saying? I'm giving people the
Yeah,
sauce. You know what I mean? Because like I
yeah,
say, I
yeah.
mean, you need to understand what's going on, and you have to be athletic enough to react to that. You know, so you
Right.
know, just kind of based upon your journey right now through college and what you've dealt with so far in the league, what do you feel like the
Hmm.
biggest lesson that you've learned like throughout this whole process? What would be that lesson that you learned? Like, you know, kind of talk to us about that.
Yeah, I think for a running back in particular, you know, you can't stress enough just being able to control your body.
Yes.
When you control your body, when you're in control of, you know, when they have so many different types of stimulus outside of your body that you have to react to, like you have to make sure that you are in control of your body at all
Right,
times.
right,
You
right.
know, that's gonna one, it's gonna keep you from becoming injured. It's gonna keep you from hurting yourself. But also, like you're gonna if you're in that explosive position, you have a good base at all times, that translates
Hmm.
to success
Right.
in pretty much everything concerning a running back. And that's not just running the ball, that's catching the ball, that's pass
Yeah.
pro.
Straight up.
You know what I'm saying? It's the same base, it's the same football position.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? And when you learn that, and that's why, and again, that's why it comes back to why I have an appreciation for what you do, because a lot of what you teach
Yes.
is those mechanics.
Yes,
You know what I
man. I
mean? Like
totally
it's
agree.
like if you can control that, you
Hmm.
know, like Jeff Stoutland, who's the offensive line coach at
Yeah.
Philadelphia, he talks about 10,000 kicks. You know, it takes 10,000 reps in order to master a
Master.
skill. You know what I'm saying? If you get those 10,000 reps of you just being in that football position and actually being aware of your body, you know what I'm saying? Like your body's going to, like, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Like your instincts are going to take
Yeah.
over, but if you have that foundation in place, that is going to help you in so many different ways. So I would say like going to the highest level, like the highest level, man, like the speed of play is
Yeah.
higher.
Imagine.
Obviously, there's a bigger learning curve, but you know it will expose all the things
Yeah.
that you overlooked throughout your entire football process. You know what I'm saying? So if you right, if you're focused on something outside, oh, I'm about to make this crazy cut.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? If you're looking at these crazy cuts that these dudes are making, you know what I'm saying? That's all you're focused on, and you're just trying to improv and wing it and just go out there and do whatever.
Hmm.
Like you're gonna end up getting hurt.
Yeah.
You're gonna end up
Yes, you
slipping.
will.
You're gonna end up because it's too
Yeah.
fast.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? So like it just comes back to the foundation,
Yes, sir.
bro. The foundation, and I know it sounds cliche.
Mm-hmm.
You hear this back in like Pop Warner, where it's like the fundamentals, those little things separate a good running back from a great running back. I've seen so many guys that are just ultra talented, you know what I'm saying, just genetic specimens, but they don't know how to create that foundation. They
Right.
don't have those fundamentals in line. And so it makes it, you know what I'm saying? It
Yeah.
makes it tough for them to really put their talent on display,
Yep.
because they skip
Yeah,
steps.
man.
You know what I'm saying?
And I agree
So
with
you
you
got to make sure
100%.
you stay
Really.
check. Yeah, you got to stay locked into that
Yeah,
type of
bro.
stuff, man. It starts with the foundation,
Right,
bro.
right, right. And you know what? I agree with you 100% as far as the body, right? Because when I went to Central Michigan, as I told you, I was sixth on the depth chart. I ended up being a starter the last 5 games, but I got a lot
Mm-hmm.
of playing time as a true freshman. And I would say after that season, man, because really, I'm a true freshman. I'm not really taking the weight room serious. You know what I mean? Like I'm just out there just balling. Because I'm young. You know what I
Mm-hmm.
mean? But
Yeah,
the
yeah,
the beating that my body took, what I'm saying, after that season, bro, like I was like, you know what? I should have redshirted. You know what I'm saying? Because
yeah,
that's just how beat up I was. And at the time, what I'm
yeah.
saying, I'm a little bit older than you, but we had AstroTurf. So not
Oh
only was
yeah, oh yeah,
yeah, bro, we was falling on that carpet. You know
yeah.
what I mean?
On carpet.
Yeah, it was actually carpet, bro. So we wore tennis
Yeah,
shoes. We wore tennis shoes.
yeah.
Damn, this made me feel old. But we wore tennis shoes out there. We didn't wear cleats, you know what I mean, at our home
Right,
field at least. And I just
right.
remember, like, after our last game, I was like, man, my body is just beat, man. I should have just redshirted. But I try to tell these guys all the time, it's like if you're going to play as a true freshman, or if you're gonna do this, bro, you really got to build that body armor. And I remember Michael Turner, he was a running back at NIU. He played with the Falcons for a while, and I remember
Mm-hmm.
reading an article on him. That's how good he was, because at Central Michigan we had an article about another running back. But I remember him
Yeah,
saying in that on how you need to get stronger. He takes the weight room seriously, and how
right.
he gets stronger throughout the season, which is why he's able to take all these shots. And I remember
Yeah,
reading that, and I remember actually seeing him in person, bro. And I never seen nobody that thick. You know what I'm saying?
yeah.
That strong
Right,
and that
right.
that cocky. You know what I mean? And I never seen nobody get upfield faster than him. And ever since
Yeah.
then, man, that kind of just stuck with me. Like, you know what, man, the weight room, taking care of your body, like that has to be number one. You know what I mean? And
Mm-hmm.
while we're on that, as far as that, I'm just going to transition to another question. Like, what are things that you do to prepare for a game? Like, what are some of the things that Boston, whether it's meditation, kind of talk us through that process, before game day or days leading to game day.
Yeah, man. I feel like I think over my NFL career, one of the things that I feel like I've really focused in more on is the mental part of the game, because I feel like whenever you dedicate time and commit time to allowing yourself to feel things, bro.
Yeah,
Because I know sports culture wise, they tell you, what I'm saying, like sports culture is like you keep it pushing. If you get hurt,
straight up.
put your head down, keep
Yeah,
working. You know what I'm saying? Like, and it's gonna work out, whatever, whatever, and that's all fine. But Kendrick Lamar, he said best, like he told me to put my head down. You know what I'm saying? Keep working.
yeah,
That's had him fed up.
yeah,
You know what I'm
straight
saying?
up.
But it's you got to give yourself time mentally, right, to reflect on what happened in the previous week. You know what I'm
Hmm.
saying? Prepare yourself mentally to be able to understand the game plan for that week. You know what I mean? And you got to give yourself time to feel these things,
Yes,
bro, because that stuff culminates over time. It accumulates over time. If you don't address that mental part of
yeah,
it, you're gonna find it manifesting itself in your game
hmm,
and things that are just uncharacteristic.
yeah,
You know what I'm saying? Like I know everybody's had this situation where as a running back where you're just like, man, why did I do that? You do
oh,
things that sometimes where things just don't make sense. It's not like you. It's not, you know what I'm saying? And I think one of the things is we can kind of neglect and we can overlook the impact that, you know, the mental part of the game has on us.
yes,
You know what I'm
sure.
saying? If you're still caught up on a mistake that you made the previous week, or
Hmm.
you didn't give yourself time to evaluate the film and be critical of yourself. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah,
Like if you don't give yourself time, or even just in general, if you have things going on off the field,
yeah,
if you don't give yourself time to feel through those
yeah,
things, be mad, be angry, be upset, be
yeah,
frustrated. You know what I'm saying? If you're just trying to be stoic and even kill the whole time,
yeah,
that can be hard for your body. Your body stores all that.
right.
You know what I'm saying? And it's got to come out some kind of way.
Yeah, for sure.
So yeah, and I think that's a big part of like, where my faith comes into play, man. Because I get, I spend time with God, man. I
Yeah,
spend
man.
time with God
Absolutely,
when I
man.
can in the morning, throughout the day. I go whenever I was in Philadelphia, I was going to Bible study every week,
Really
man. And that stuff
matters.
matters,
Yeah,
bro.
man.
That stuff matters. Not to say that that's, you know, God is going to get you to where you want in football. It starts with God, man. You should be pursuing that regardless, because that obviously as you transition, football ain't gonna last forever.
Absolutely.
God lasts forever.
Right, right, right.
But that stuff will ground you
Mm-hmm.
and keep you in the place that you need to be, so that you can have that fire in your heart, but at the same time have a peace that's supernatural. You know what I'm
Absolutely.
saying? So I just think that leading up to the game, one of the biggest things that I feel like I've learned is giving yourself time to feel,
Mm-hmm.
especially as men, you
Yep.
know what I'm saying? Like, you got to give yourself time to
Be
feel,
human.
you know what I'm saying? It ain't soft. It ain't weak. You know what I'm saying? Like, you got to be able to give yourself time to do that.
Mm-hmm.
Once you get into the game, yeah, you a warrior, you a killer. You know what I'm saying? Anybody that's in front of you, they got to pay,
Absolutely.
but you got to prepare the right way so that you can stay in a state of mind, you know, where you're in that hectic and chaotic environment. You're able to be at peace. You're able to, you know, that one play mindset, be able to overcome a mistake, be
Mm-hmm.
able to you know what I'm saying? You're not gonna be able to do that if your mind ain't in the right
Right,
place.
absolutely. And I think,
So I would say that's probably one of the biggest
yeah,
things.
absolutely. And I agree with you 100% because I think as athletes, man, we're so used to sweeping stuff under the rug and moving forward. You know what I mean? And as an adult man now, I learned that I've taken that from football and actually added it to my real life. I started living like sweeping
Hmm.
things under the rug and just pressing
Yeah.
forward. And you get to a certain point where you're like, you know what, man, I need to start addressing some of these things. You know what I mean? And you hit it right on the head. Like, it's okay to address some of this stuff, deal with it, but then move forward. You know what I'm saying? Deal with it
Exactly.
appropriately. Maybe you need therapy.
Exactly.
Maybe you need to talk to somebody, but you need to release these things in order so you can be complete. You know what I mean? So you add more
Hmm.
room for good things to come into your space. You know what I mean? So that's very, very important for young athletes, man. I just think that, they just always in warrior mode. And it's okay to always
Yeah.
be in warrior mode, but sometimes you need to pull
Yeah.
it back and just be a human. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And nah, that's very, very important. Now, my next question to you is like, was there, since we're talking about the mental, was there ever a time that you actually like doubted yourself in this whole process?
Absolutely,
Yep.
man. Going throughout my whole, I mean, high school, college, even in the pros, bro, you're always gonna deal with doubt.
Hmm.
You know what
Yep.
I'm saying? Don't take the cheese of what these guys will say. Sorry, my dogs are going
Oh, yeah.
crazy. Don't take the cheese of these guys saying, "Man, I stayed locked in no matter what."
Yeah. Yeah.
You know what I'm
Yeah.
saying? I stayed true to I stayed true to the journey. I stayed true to the yeah. Nah, bro. Nah, you misguiding people, bro. You leading people astray. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Because like I've had an understanding of that, and I've been so fed up, bro. I've been so like, just it makes people think, well, what's wrong with me? You know what I'm saying? Like, this, my idol, my role model. Oh, I hate saying idol. My role model in my position or whatever. He's saying like, oh man, like, I ain't never let none of this stuff get to me. I ain't never let, nah, bro. Nah, you got to be more transparent. You got to
Yes.
be more
Agreed.
open. So one of the things that really hit me in my heart is something that Ray Lewis said, man. It's like, you know, it's for the longest time, sports has always praised and put the workaholics on a pedestal.
Hmm.
Now, am I saying that working is a bad thing? I think you should always work. Faith without works is dead.
Yep.
But at the same time, he said we need to start praising and applauding those that know how to balance.
Right.
Those that know those that understand the importance of being self-aware, being able to reflect, being able to, take part in off the field stuff, spend time with your family, have fun, be able to enjoy it and take in the experience in the moment to its fullness. You know what I'm saying? Because at the end of the day, them workaholics, bro, like
Yeah.
it's you can be addicted to the work. You know what I'm saying? And at the end of the day, it may be perceived in a way that's like, man, that's honorable. That's big time respect. But at the end of the day, like, it's still an addiction.
Yeah. It is.
You
Yeah,
know what I
it is.
mean? And it's tearing your body down in ways that you don't really necessarily, you know, expect or realize until you're out of it. And
Right.
that's why you see so many guys when they transition out of football, transition out of the professional scene, or even college, high school. It don't matter. Like, that's why you see so many guys transitioning out, and they end up, getting involved in things where
Mhm.
they just, they blink twice and they like, how did I end up here?
Yes.
You know what I'm saying? Like, why am I using this? Why am I doing this?
Yes.
Why am I acting this way with people? You know what I'm saying? Well, you didn't address these parts of, you know, what was going on in your life, in this phase of your life, in this season of your life, in the right way, you know. And you know what I'm saying, not only, and you think about it like this is how I hold myself accountable. I think about it like, you know, you have the inner turmoil from that
Yeah.
stuff, and then also you've gone so long promoting these things as though they were a good thing. So not only are you impacting yourself,
Right.
you're impacting those that come behind
Yes,
you.
you
You
do.
know what I'm saying? Like that come after you.
Yep.
So, you know what I'm saying? Like I think that is really important, you know, to be open,
Mm-hmm.
to show the ugly, to show the
Yep.
bad, you know what I'm saying? Because that it's all fine and dandy. It's inspirational whenever you sharing just the good. But whenever you show that bad, whenever you show that ugly, that's where transformation happens. That's where God is able to shine through those cracks.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? Because we all imperfect, you know. So yeah, bro.
Nah, that's
Yeah.
100%. Like, cause for me, like I do therapy. You know what I'm saying? Once every other week. You know what I mean?
Yes,
'Cause I
sir.
need it. You know what I mean? It's
Yep.
definitely, you know, me running. You know, coming transitioning from football, transitioning to
Hmm.
regular civilian life. That was probably the hardest thing for me. You know what I mean?
Yes,
Because
sir.
obviously,
Yes,
you know,
sir.
most of us we played football since we was like 4 or 5 years old, and typically, and
That's all we
I
know.
hate saying this, but that's all we knew. You know what I'm saying?
Yep.
And you knew to wake up at sometime in the morning, get up, go train, come back to the crib. Either you got school or you play video games, whatever you do. And you probably go
Hmm.
train again. So you were kind of like
Yep.
institutionalized in some sense. You know what I mean? But at the end of the day, now when you're kind of just out here now, you gotta really throw your rod out there and fish for it. You know, a lot of times guys don't they really can't they can't they can't grasp the concept, okay, I'm an average human being now. What do I
Hmm.
do now? And a lot of guys they
Yep.
crash out. You know what I mean? And they
Yep.
sometimes
For
they crash
sure.
out because they don't know what to do next, or they crashed
Yep.
out because they suppressed all those things that they were supposed to release, you know, years
Exactly.
leading up to that. Now,
Yeah.
you know, so that's why I say, man, it's okay to get therapy. It's okay to be human, man. And then, like I said, running
Yep.
backs, man, we take a lot of pounding, bro. And it's, I'm just speaking for running backs. This is it, man. We take a lot of hits. We take a lot of
Yep.
hits. And after a
Yes,
while, you
sir.
know, it's been plenty of times that I went home and my body was just hurting and I didn't really have nobody to call and talk to. I just sat there and I
Yep.
just dealt with the pain. You know what I mean?
Right.
And
Right.
let's take it to another level. And when you're just dealing with the pain, you become used to that. Well, I'm just gonna deal with the
Yep.
pain by myself. And that's not really safe to do. You know what I mean? Like it's okay to let people know, call people, seek treatment, do whatever it is that you need to do to get the help you need.
Hmm.
You know what I'm saying? Like don't be
Yep.
no hero. Now,
Yep.
even though so we talked about that. My next, I want to transition into discipline. You know what I mean? Because I know you a very very disciplined guy. Trying to get you on the show. It's like my guy got PT, he got training. He's still it ain't even football season. You know what I'm saying? Whatnot, but
Yeah.
he's still disciplined, sticking to his routine. You know, so
Yep.
like how do you stay disciplined in like an environment full of like distractions? You know what I mean? Like even
Hmm.
still when with the situation that you're dealing with, if you don't want to get in that, you're cool. But like how do you stay
No, no, no. That's
focused in that?
cool.
Yeah, how do you stay focused with the unknown? You know what I'm saying? Like that's very important.
Right. Yeah, it could be it can be disorienting, man,
Yeah,
if you feel like you're in it all by
for
yourself.
sure.
And so I think that one of the most important things that come to mind as you talk about this is probably, you know, your circle, you
Yeah,
know, the people that you surround yourself
nice.
with, right? I've had the time and the humility also to learn from a lot of guys that have been the epitome of discipline.
Yeah,
You know what I'm saying? Like I've learned from Brandon Graham, I've learned from Lane Johnson, um, I've learned from Drew
yeah,
Brees. I've learned
Breeze.
from Mark Ingram. I've learned from Darren Sproles. I've learned, you know,
Nice.
the list goes on and on and on about guys that I have seen that are disciplined, and you know that discipline directly is correlated and related to your success and
Yeah,
production. You know what I'm
really.
saying? Like, you know, some of that is favor. You know what I'm saying? Some of that is a little bit of luck.
Yeah,
You know,
yeah, yeah,
however you want to look
yeah,
at it,
yeah.
but you know that discipline is something that's taught. You know what I'm saying? You can't just catch that.
Mhm.
You know what I'm saying? Like one of my mentors say, some stuff is caught, some stuff is taught.
Yeah,
Discipline is something that has to be taught.
yes,
You don't just wake up one day and say, "Oh, I'm gonna be disciplined today."
right.
That's like discipline is just putting one foot in front of the other, and before you know it, you walking without having to look
Yeah,
down. You know what I'm
100%.
saying? Like that's what it is. You have to practice it, just like you practice your cuts, just like you
Yeah,
practice your body position. You know, and you can get creative with it. You know what I'm saying? Like academically, that's a great way to teach yourself discipline,
yeah,
because you know damn well you don't want to be in no you know what I'm saying, you don't want to be in class,
yeah,
you don't want to be doing that, you want to go straight to ball,
yeah,
you know what I'm saying, you want to go play, you know, because that's where your heart's at. But if you look at it rather than looking at it as an obstacle, you look at it as an opportunity. You know what I'm saying? Because like if you can consistently do something that you don't want to do,
Yeah.
you know, how much better will you
Yeah,
be
right.
consistently wise in the things that you actually love?
Right.
You get what I'm saying? And I think a big part of that is being held accountable in that. And so I think that, you know, having a mentor, having somebody that can hold you accountable, having somebody that you're going to have to talk to at some point in the week, and they're going to ask you those tough questions is really important.
Right.
And that's a big part of like what I've seen from guys that have made it and guys that haven't made it. It's just been simply who they've surrounded themselves with,
Yeah.
you know, and not to say like I had it all figured out. Like God has provided some great people in my life that if I didn't have,
Yeah, man.
I would not be on the path that I am today.
I get it.
So but it's all about you know that, you know, we call it that spiritual downline, you know what I'm saying, where it's like you got your Paul, who's the teacher, you know what I'm saying, you got your Barnabas, that's a person that, you know, you look at as like an equal, that you guys are just holding each other accountable. And then you got your Timothy, and that's the more important part of it, because that's the person that you're actually going to be imparting everything that you learn to, you know what I'm saying. So you have that spiritual downline that's been put in place based on my faith, that I feel like it really helped me.
Yeah.
And I learned that from my mentors, man. So, you know, as you're continuing to pay it forward, you know what I'm saying? Obviously, it feels good to be able to, you know, impart your wisdom and let people know what you've been through, but it also holds you accountable.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I'm saying? It holds you accountable because those things that you're telling that person, you know, they're looking to you to stand 10 toes down on those
Yes,
things. You
sir.
know what I'm saying?
Big
So,
part of it.
yeah, I think that's one of the things that's really helped me as far as discipline. Discipline is not something that you're gonna get on your own.
Nah.
It's not something that you just get like snap of a finger. It's a bunch of different habits
Yeah.
in place over time to where it becomes muscle memory, and it's still there, and it's still hard.
Right.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
mm-hmm.
Yeah.
So
Yeah, man, and I agree with you 100% on that, because like I'm actually read that book, Atomic Habits. I don't know if you had a chance to read it.
yeah, man.
Probably
Yep.
one
I
of
got.
yeah,
I
there
had
you go.
it. I
Yeah,
had it on
it's
me. Yeah.
there
Yeah.
somewhere. Probably one of the
Mm-hmm.
best books that I ever read, and it let me know that, you know, being disciplined is also strategic too. You know what I mean?
Yep.
Like setting up yourself for success the night before for tomorrow. And I remember watching the podcast, and the guy was like, you know what discipline is? It's slaying that dragon that you don't want to face every day. You know what I'm saying? I was like,
Exactly.
ooh, like that's real.
Mm-hmm.
Because it's days that, you know, being an athlete, ex-athlete, like it's days I don't want to get up. It's days I don't want
Yep.
to be, you know, Jerry Seymour the running back, man. It's some days I just want to be Jerry Seymour the bum. But I know
Yeah.
if I, although I know that I have this task at hand, I can't be that bum. I got to get my
Right.
behind up, you know, and I got to get to it. But I do
Yes,
have to
sir.
give myself that grace on some days, like, hell, this is your rest day. You
Yes,
could be on
sir.
bum on Wednesday, but right now it's
Yes,
Monday, so you
sir.
got 2 days you got to work. You know what I mean?
Yes,
So
sir.
nah, so I agree with you 100%. Now, you know, let's transition off a little bit, man. I know we talked about the gaming earlier before this, man. So I, like I told you personally, I didn't know you was a gamer. You know what I mean? This is
Yeah.
what I love about this
Yeah.
podcast. You get to study people and kind of read on
Right.
them, and it's like, oh man, this dude's a gamer. So tell us about the gaming
Yeah.
space, man. And I see that you were signed. Like, how did that go? Like, how did that come about? Mhm.
Yeah, man. So, oh man, where did it start?
Yeah.
So, I mean, I've always loved gaming. Like,
Hmm.
it started with when I was a kid,
Yeah.
bro. Like, you know, obviously with my parents splitting up and all the moving that we did, you know, like there had to be some sort of way for me to decompress and get away from everything, you
Straight up.
know. And I feel like gaming was a big part of that, you know. And to be honest, as nerdy or as corny as it sounds, I learned a lot of lessons through gaming, bro.
Yeah.
Like whether it's getting frustrated,
Yeah.
like trying to get through a game, and you know, I can just remember my dad like just saying like, take a break, come back,
Yeah.
try it again. You know what I'm saying? Like it's just, yeah, that's just that's just crazy to say that right
Yeah.
now,
Right.
but I mean, hey, it's worked out,
Yeah.
bro.
Yeah.
But
Straight up. For real.
yeah, man. So I feel like it's a good way for me to decompress, and it's a good way for me to compete without having to put my body at risk. You know what I'm saying? Because a lot like nowadays, like back in the day, it used to just be single player, like you playing through a story, all that kind of stuff. But now everything is so competitive based,
Yeah.
like
Straight up.
everybody trying to grind and everybody trying this and that and the other. And I don't know about all that,
Yeah.
but
Yeah.
you know, but I think, you know, it's been fun, bro. It's been fun. You know, like I said, God has created another opportunity for me to be able to, you know, interact with a community that I didn't know a whole lot about. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
Like I knew obviously, you know, my homies play games and all that kind of stuff, but getting into the gaming community itself,
Hmm.
you know, there's There's a lot. There's a lot, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And I feel like, you know, the gaming world is just so far just removed from anything that I've been a part of in my life.
Oh wow.
And
Old
you
school.
know, it's been a cool opportunity, you know what I'm saying, to be a part of a professional organization. You know, your boy is on the payroll, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
A little passive stream of income.
I
But
know that's right.
you know, I've been able to have conversations, you know, with some of these guys and learn where they come from
Mm-hmm.
and what they've gone through. I've actually had, you know, a few conversations about God, which has been incredible. Like
Yes.
one of the guys that I know, he's from Philadelphia. He was a part. He actually at first he wasn't even a part of the team, but he was actually a part of the team
Okay.
for I think last year, and we had a bunch of conversations and just I was able to kind of share my experiences, you know, with what I've gone through from a professional level, you know, just more of the habit type
Yeah,
stuff,
for sure.
you know, and I feel like that's, you know, me going through what I have in the league, you know, has kind of helped me kind
Yes.
of, you know, share some game with some of the guys that have the sticks in their hands or whatever. But
Right.
no, it's been cool, man. I enjoy it. You know what I'm saying? You can call me what you want, nerd, all that kind of.
Yeah, yeah,
Hey,
yeah.
it is what it is.
Yeah.
Because at the end of the day, like, you know, being able to, you know, have that thing to decompress. I will say this: it wasn't always like this
I hear
because
you.
in college, I barely gamed
Oh,
at
really?
all. Like
Okay.
barely.
You
I
said
was
most
working. I
people
worked.
game in college.
Yeah,
Yeah.
bro. Look, yeah, because in college, like I said, I was a walk on. So
Mm-hmm.
I was working at I worked at a Ford dealership.
Okay.
You know, I was working in a library. I was trying to make money
I know that's
however I
right.
could. So I didn't really get into the gaming until I got to college.
Right.
So the number one thing I always say, because so many guys are just gung ho when I've talked to gamers, they're like, I want to go pro. I want to do this, that, and the other. And you become a pro at a young age. Like they become pros at like 15.
What?
You know what I'm saying? Yes,
Crazy.
young.
That's crazy.
So it's like, bro, one of the main things that I talk about is finding balance. The only reason I'm able to do what I do now is because, you know, I put the time in. You know what I'm saying? I put the time in, you know, and I did the things that I didn't want to do, that discipline we talked about.
Yep.
You know, I had to work, I had to make sure my ducks were in a row, you know, before I got to this point, you know, and now it's more of just kind of enjoying the fruits of my
Yeah.
labor.
Yeah.
But you know, I to be honest, if it's just me talking on it, I wouldn't put all my eggs in one basket
That's
on
right.
trying to become a pro gamer and doing all the gaming stuff.
Yeah.
Do I think it's a good hobby? Yeah, I
Yep.
think it's a good hobby.
Yep.
But do I think it should be everything? No, I don't think it
Man,
should
that's
be
something that they
everything.
need
You
to know
know?
because some of these boys,
Yeah,
they,
bro.
they don't understand.
They be yeah, bro.
Man,
These young bucks, bro.
yeah.
They something else, boy.
They don't
Woo.
understand this evil out
Yeah,
here, man. Just even
yeah,
NFL,
bro.
like man, like yeah, like even I tell them, hey man, don't put all your ducks in a row. You know what I mean? But you have to have enough
Mm-hmm.
in there to give yourself a chance. But at the end of the day, man, like because we
You gotta
see,
find balance,
I've been to
bro.
the part where I've seen the ugly side of football. You know what I mean? The business
Yep.
part, the
Yep.
politics. You know what I mean? And that's not down in the NFL, but it's just it is what it is. You know what I
Yes,
mean? So
sir.
that's why tell those guys, man, you got to have some kind of balance. You know what I mean? That's very very important. And since
Mm-hmm.
you spoke on balance, like to your younger self, before we get into this football Eagles, you know what I mean, running back talk, like what would you tell like these young guys that's coming up in the game, these young running backs, you know what I mean? Because they understand that they're up against the transfer portal, or some guys may be in JUCO trying to transition in, or some guys that didn't get a scholarship like yourself, you know what I'm saying, that had to walk on. Like what are some of the things that you want to share with those young guys that they can take and kind of run with and keep, just keep in their mind, like, okay, I remember Boston said this, I got to keep it rocking. You know what I mean?
Yeah, man. So I feel like one of the most freeing moments for me. I was sitting in the office with my strength
Yeah.
coach, talking about my future in the NFL. You know, I knew I wanted to go and play, but I had reached the point where it was like my strength coach said, "Man, look, we weren't even planning on me getting drafted. We were planning on me getting a free agent workout, a free agent deal. Maybe a tryout and see what happens.
Yeah.
Hopefully, I get my foot in the door." But at the moment that I accepted and embraced the fact that I could be working and doing all these things and it doesn't work out, it was so freeing. And I
Yes.
feel like that's a little countercultural,
Yeah,
right?
I hear you.
Because it feels like, in a sense, like that can be perceived as, oh, you quitting before you even
Yeah.
trying, you know what I'm saying? Or you're being pessimistic or whatever it is. And not necessarily, because if you look at my work and how I went about each day,
Yeah.
there was nothing about my actions that was saying, like, this isn't going to work out. This isn't going to happen.
Yeah.
But I do think that, you give your, because reality gonna set in.
Yes.
Reality got a way of realitying,
Yep.
and whether you arrive there yourself or not, like it's gonna let you know what it
Right.
is.
Right.
And
Right.
so I think that the sooner that you accept, being able to work towards something when you can't necessarily see the light at the end of
Yep.
the tunnel,
Yep.
is so freeing.
Yep.
You know what I'm saying? And I feel like once I reached that point, I was able to work. And I'm not saying that it's all gonna be easy,
Mm-hmm.
because you still gonna have to, motivate yourself. You still gonna have that discipline in place to do things that you need to do. But once you reach that point, it's freeing, bro.
Yep.
There's not as much frustration involved. There's not as much resentment. There's not as much bitterness.
Yep.
You can direct those towards people. You can blame people for the reason why you didn't make it here, the reason why you didn't make it there, or whatever it may be. But if you're in that mindset of, because you can always apply the things that you're learning through football
You
to
can.
life,
Yep.
always.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I'm saying? And if you approach it in that way, hey, this might not work out football wise, but guess what? I'm learning discipline for my kids.
Yes,
I'm
sir.
learning discipline for my wife.
Yep.
I'm learning discipline for my friends, the people around in my
Yep.
community. You know what I'm saying? Like if I were to go on and have to get a job, like I know what it's like to put my time and effort into something that may not necessarily work out in the way that I wanted to.
Mm-hmm.
So I think that mindset, that mentality. Now, like again, as you're working towards things, you're working. You are running the race to win.
Yes,
You
sir.
are not running the race to finish in second place or get a participation trophy. You are running to win. But at the same time, keeping yourself in check in that arena kind of allows you to stay away from placing blame on this or that or
Right.
the other. You know what I'm
Right.
saying? And like taking that control of your life to the best of your ability,
Right.
because there's still going to be stuff out of your control that happens. But you are doing the best that you can, to free yourself and allow yourself to work as hard as you can.
Correct.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah. No,
Because
I
if
get
you're
it.
you know what I mean? Like
Yeah.
you
I
can be
do.
thinking about, man, is this gonna work? Is this gonna work out? Like, what am I doing this for?
Yeah.
I've asked myself that. Right? I know everybody has. You know what I'm saying? So what can you do control wise to, try your best to reduce the amount of external stuff that it just allows you to work as hard as you can, and let the cars fall where they may,
Yeah.
because like,
And I think that's
yeah.
that's been, like I said, and it's just you. You know what I'm saying? Your relationship with God, just you as a person. I think the reason why most people would say like, okay, man, like they don't want to admit that, okay, if this don't work out, it's just, the reason why they say it may not work out, but still be pissed off why it didn't work out is because those are
Mm,
sometimes, and just from my perspective, those are people who aren't going to give it 100%. The reason why you were freed is because you knew you was going to give 100% every day. That's why I was so freeing. And also you knew that, once you got out of it, to say if you didn't make it, you was going to go back and tell the new generation coming up, you know what I mean? It's a form
exactly.
of discipleship, you know what I mean? Let's
Mm-hmm.
talk about it. It's those people who say, you know what, if I don't make it, I'm not telling nobody else, because I'm so pissed off that I didn't make it, that I'm just going to sit inside the whale's stomach and not tell nobody, you know
Mm-hmm.
what I mean? And
Yep,
that's
for
dumb. You
sure.
you know that, you know what I'm saying? So that's
Yeah.
why I think what you said is so important. That's why I was freeing, because Boston, like and you go hard. I watched you work out, you know what I'm saying? Every time that I've trained you or worked with you, I've seen you go hard. So you saying that, you being freed from that by saying that, I get it. You know what I mean? But that's what
Mm,
people have to understand. If you make that commitment or you say that to yourself or whomever, you got to make sure that you go 100% every day. And I promise you, you won't be salty afterwards. You're just going to take the information and give it to the next. You know what I'm saying? So I
exactly.
think that's very, very important. Well, let's talk about the running back position, because I feel like, the running back's up 1,000 points, 1,000,000 points this year, baby.
Yes, sir.
1,000,000 points. I remember doing the take last year around this time, and I was talking about, the running backs, they need to pay us. We run block and catch. And man, if
I
you look at
saw
the
it. I
comments,
saw it.
oh
I know
yeah, you
exactly
feel
what you're
me?
talking about.
Yeah,
Yep,
man.
yep,
You look at
yep,
the
yep.
comments, people was like, oh, running backs, they're expendable. When's the last time
Mm-hmm.
a franchise running back has done anything? And it's like, okay, we got one first of all,
Yeah.
not only do we have one that's going to the Super Bowl, which I hope they win, right? But we had a
Yep.
bunch of running backs that just got off this year, from the Derrick Henrys, the Josh Jacobs, the Bash brothers, you got Jameer Gibbs and Montgomery, you
Mm-hmm.
know what I'm saying?
Yep.
Like, Aaron Jones, you know what I'm saying? Like all
Yep.
these guys went off this year. And I think it really solidified like, okay, the running back position is important. You know what I'm saying? So what was your thoughts on, what they were trying to do with the running backs and then the way that we just kind of took control this year?
Yes, sir. Hey, look, I'm excited, bro. Yeah, bro. I'm excited, man. I can't say enough about, and the list, like you said, the list goes on and on, bro. You know what I'm saying? Obviously, the Saints didn't do what they wanted to do, but Alvin Kamara is still producing at a high level.
Absolutely.
Christian McCaffrey, obviously with Christian McCaffrey, he went down with some injuries or whatever, but, he was continuing to play at a high level. You just see, and it's guys. Alvin Kamara has been in the Saints system for a while, but they've had some coaching changes. You know what I'm saying? So, but I think one of the more valuable things is the fact that these running backs that have been perceived as older or washed, right? They have completely shattered the expectations and kind of the standard that has been applied for running backs for so long. Once you get to a certain age, you can expect a dip in production.
Yes.
Once you get to this certain amount of touches in your career, you can expect a dip in production. They've shattered it. Shattered it.
Right.
Even in Vegas, a guy by the name of Amir Abdullah. Hello.
Yes,
I know y'all remember Amir Abdullah. Come on now. Yes, sir. I think he went to Nebraska?
Yep, Nebraska.
That boy went off. He was one of the best college players. I remember watching him all the time in high school, bro. Like, he was one of the best college players, and he carved out a role for himself in year, I don't know, maybe 8, something like that. He's up there.
Still going.
So, it's just what I've been so thankful to see, obviously, what's been going on with Saquon, but also there have been so many examples of guys that have, kind of taken the template or taken the blueprint that's been applied to running back for so long and just threw it out the window.
Yeah, for sure.
You know what I'm saying? And so it's more of, and I love it, bro. I love it. I think for so long, players have been under a microscope.
Yep.
Our play has been criticized. We have been the focal point of media and the criticism of, why a team has been producing in the way that it has, the success or lack of. But I feel like there's been a transition now, not necessarily taken away from the impact that players have on the game, but stressing the importance of how important it is to be in the right system, bro.
Yes.
Being in the right system and having a coordinator and coaching staff that understand how to utilize a back and play to their strengths.
Right.
That's been huge, bro. I love the way, in particular, the way that Detroit, Ben Johnson, the offensive coordinator, the way that he utilizes Jahmyr Gibbs and David Montgomery, and then also a little dark horse here, the Washington Commanders, Cliff Kingsbury, the way that he has put Brian Robinson and Austin Eckler. I'm watching these Commanders games, and I'm just sitting there like, this makes me feel good, boy, because you got Brian Robinson running a shallow
hill, boy.
You know what I'm saying? You got Brian. Yeah, they both running the ball, but you got Brian Robinson. You got Austin Eckler and Brian Robinson on the field at the same time. You got Brian Robinson running a shallow.
Yep.
You know what I'm saying? Underneath, and you have Austin Eckler running an actual route.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? And it's like, yes, you can use your running backs in these types of ways. You know what I'm saying? Do you need to feature them in the pass game? I mean, I think it would help you out, but because you're exploiting those mismatches on the field. But I think the creativity there, I think is so important, and having some of these younger, innovative minds that are now calling plays, they're not operating based on the status quo of what a running back should be or what a running back shouldn't be. You know what I'm saying? They're taking these guys' skills based on what they've evaluated through OTAs and training camp, and they're saying, hey, you know what I'm saying? They don't necessarily have to be in this box of, we're going to dot the I and we're going to be in the gun and they're just going to get inside. You know what I'm saying? We can use these guys in different ways to give defensive coordinators fits.
Yes.
And I feel like everybody's been able to be used like used in that way. Right. You know what I'm saying? And so I feel like there's been a shift, man. Obviously, Saquon, that boy made in the factory.
Yes,
you know what I'm saying? Obviously, it's been a crazy, just divine convergence of the offensive line in Philadelphia with Saquon Barkley. I was talking to a guy about it yesterday. Saquon Barkley is actually averaging 3.8 yards before contact.
What?
So literally 3.8. The best that I had in Philadelphia. This is the best offensive line that Philadelphia has had in a long, long, long time. I haven't gone all the way back in the archives, but this is the best that I've ever seen. The most that I had was 3.1, which is still pretty damn good.
Yeah, for sure.
Miles Sanders probably for the most that he had was probably 3.4. DeAndre Swift probably around the same. But that I was saying the other day, if Saquon, like, if he got the ball and he fell down, whenever he got touched, he was still going to amass 1,300 yards on the season, bro.
Crazy, bro.
Because the line of scrimmage was at 4 yards every time he was getting the ball. You know what I'm saying? So, I think that man, I think it's amazing, bro. And, you're seeing that, among a lot of older, washed up, a lot of trailing tire type backs. Derrick Henry, obviously. Josh Jacobs, Aaron Jones, in new systems. Doing well.
I didn't mean to cut you off. You know what guy I want to get
to
good right now? James Conner, bro.
Yes, sir.
Bro. Like,
yes, sir.
Like, he don't get his flowers enough. You know what I'm saying?
Yep.
I don't know.
That's true.
On the West Coast, we over here on the East Coast, but you.
Yeah.
But he just recently got re-signed, and I was like, and I ain't gonna lie, sometimes I forget about it because I don't really watch the Cardinals. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
But it's like, you know what, man, this dude's been doing it year in and year out quietly. You know what I'm saying? Quietly, 1,000-yard rushing seasons. And it's like, you know what, man, I just want to give him a shout out. You know what I'm saying? I ain't want to
man.
Conner, man, because he
yes, sir.
Thing. And also the other thing I want to say is, like, even at the beginning of the season, right? Like, they just talked about how, Detroit Lions was just putting BTA to everybody. But nobody really started talking about Ben Johnson's play calling. I mean, fix me if I'm wrong, because I think, honestly, with a lot of play callers, it's sexy to throw the ball, have all these concepts. You got this, he throwing it to him throwing it to him, but it's not really sexy. You don't really get talked about if you're a runner. You know what I mean? If you just give the ball to your backs, and I just really believe that. And it's like, I think with Ben Johnson, I was like, dog, this dude needs to be talked about. Like, why are nobody talking about Ben Johnson? Yes, Detroit is doing good, but that coach, man, he's lining them boys back up 7 yards, that quarterback under center, he drawing it back, he handing that bit off, and them boys is going. You know what I mean?
Yes, sir.
It was just irritating me because I'm like, dog, like, Ben Johnson needs to be talked about more. Granted, he did a great job because he's a head coach now, but I just felt like that run game wasn't being talked about enough, because in the people's eye, it's really not sexy. Only guys who are in the trenches, us O-line and running backs, we know how beautiful that was.
Yes, sir.
Really take the soul of a defense and just make them, just make them quit just because you keep running the ball play after play after play, 4 or 5 yards a pop. We running it, we still giving it, and we still doing our thing. You know what I mean? So that was, I just wanted to get your take on that, man, because it's a beautiful thing to see, and obviously Derrick Henry, because he's rushed for 2,000 yards and he came back with 19 this year. You know what I'm saying? So, man, it's just, I'm loving it right now, man. But I just wanted to tell you, man, just wanted to thank you, man, for what's going on. Oh, last thing, who you got for Super Bowl?
Oh, you already know what it is, man. I got to go with my dogs, man. Finish the job, man. I know a lot of them guys in that locker room still got a bad taste in their mouth from what happened a couple of years ago, myself included. So I'll be living vicariously through them. But I hope, obviously, like I said, all respect to the Chiefs, because they have a record and they've been finding a way every single week to win, and that within itself is something that is very respectable. But at the same time, too, the Philly guy in me, I don't want it to be close.
I'm with you, dog. I'm with you, bro.
So
I'm with
you, man.
And it's like, the Chiefs are like that. If you watch wrestling, it's like they keep, as soon as the referee hits 2 times on the mat, as soon as he's about the 3rd time, they just raise their hand.
Yes, sir.
You know what I'm saying? It's like so I know it's going to be a good game for sure, man. I'm definitely going for the Philadelphia Eagles too as well.
Yeah,
because I know running back, obviously Saquon Barkley. none against Pacheco. I love him.
Bro. Yeah, Pacheco be balling too, man. Pacheco be balling.
You know what I mean? So now I just want to tell you, man, thank you, man. You dropped some jewels on us today, man. I enjoyed this more than anything, man. Just getting to know you personally and just kind of hearing your journey, man, and just some of your perspective on things. So it's a beautiful thing, man. And I just want these young athletes to understand, like, not everybody's journey the same. Maybe you could you should take something from, Boston's journey and apply it, man. And like I said, there's a lot of undersized running backs out there. So you definitely need to hone in and listen to this podcast, man. So, man, Boston, man, we salute you, man. And man, we going, this ain't the last time. We're gonna have you back on, bro. And we do appreciate you from the running back community.
Hey, what you talking about? I'm gonna see you in a little bit, man. I'm gonna see you in Florida.
I'm sure, I'm locked in on combine, right? So I'm thinking, like, I'm not gonna see y'all, but I'm like, yeah, bro, I'll see you in a couple weeks, bro.
I'll see you in a little bit.
All right, bro.
Yeah.